Welcome to the 2023 Las Vegas Challenge presented by Innova Disc Golf. This is Gatekeeper Media's presentation of the MPO Chase Card Round 3 Front 9. I'm Andrew Fish, joined here by Nathan Queen. Nathan, what's going on today?
Not a whole lot. Cooled off a little bit here in North Carolina, but I hear it warmed up slightly from the first 2 days out there in Vegas, so looking for some favorable scoring conditions today.
Yeah, we had kind of a tenuous weather forecast as we see our chase card of Andrew Marwede, Calvin Heimburg, Luke Samson, and Joel Freeman. But the rain held off, and it is going to get a little bit breezy in the last little bit. But overall, great scoring conditions on the Millennium course.
Yeah, and Anthony Barella jumping out to that 3-stroke lead over the field today, but the rest of them pretty tight behind him.
Yeah, for sure. Andrew Marwede, balanced forehand and backhand. Not really a distance guy, but very controlled. He's going to be putting with the Splatter Stone Steady BLs, and I know that he likes to throw Hurricanes for his distance drivers.
And then Calvin Heimburg putting with the KC Pro AVRs, definitely going to be leaning on his Tour Series Toro for those up shots, and then of course the Destroyers for those long distance shots.
Absolutely. Luke Samson, Castaplast sponsored. He uses a lot of those recos for his putting and some throwing, as well as his berries for up shots. And look for him to do some Destroyer and Wraith work for distance shots.
Yeah, and if you watched round 1 of our coverage, you would have seen Joel Freeman. So going to be same bag, same course, probably a different shirt. He likes to mix up the shirts, so we'll see what he's got going on there.
Yeah, kind of a fruit flavor for today for him. Hole 1, 390 feet, par 3. Going to play slightly downhill and with a little bit of a right to left crosswind today. Imagine that players are going to hang something out to the right a little bit with a mid or fairway.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 2023 Las Vegas Challenge presented by Innova Championship. This is your chase card. Representing Alpena, Michigan, Andrew Marwede.
Marwede is a big boy. Look how well he uses his leverage, and then once he gets to the green, very efficient putter. Kind of led the world in putting percentage last year.
Yeah, he's been up in that top 3, I believe, for 2 or 3 consecutive years now on that putting stat. A bit of an early release here, though. Maybe got some of those first film card nerves.
Yeah, first event of the year. A little bit excusable for Marwede. Vinny's already been on a feature card at this event. And throwing a shot to just kind of get up to flat, but even this is likely to track left of the basket at some point, or just 8 feet long. Perfect way to start for Vinny.
Yeah, just absolutely pins it. Able to use that mid-range distance to really control what he needs on this hole. We saw a lot of people go long before. This is shows you why the mid-range plays best.
Yeah, for sure. And I think at 390, the mid kind of sets up to be a full swing. And a lot of times a full swing is what you're looking for so that you don't have to, be in between discs.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I definitely prefer to throw full power. I know exactly where the disc is going to go. Sometimes taking off that 10% turns into a bit more and you don't get it quite right.
Luke going to track a little bit to the left, and that'll be a circle 2 way to start for him. But as noted in round 1, this is one of the most flat and forgiving greens on the course. Joel pulling this to the right, and there is path over there out of bounds. He's able to sneak back in, but that's going to be well long. Maybe a speculative run for his 2.
Yeah, and Andrew Marwede, way more trouble than you expect to find yourself in on this hole. You know that he hasn't thrown a shot from here. That's not a spot that you're going to be practicing from. And gauges the distance pretty well, gives himself probably about a 40-footer, maybe just outside that for a par save. Not quite what you want to start the round. And it seems like some wind had a lot of play with that disc there. Kind of gave it a floating chance, but the wind said no, packed it right down.
Good look from Samson back into the headwind. Nathan, I know you kind of do a very pushy style, and that used to be what Joel was all about. He's added a spin putt to his game. Any thoughts on how you go back and forth between the two?
Yeah, just you have to get comfortable with it in your practice. I'd say that's going to be a practice routine thing, is work on doing both while you're practicing rather than working on one at one time and one at the other.
Yeah, and it kind of becomes a weapon. You know, he was able to throw that high above the basket, know that it was just going to drop and stick.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving into hole 2, 649-foot par 4. Got some OB on the right side, and if you get too far left, you're going to have to deal with these trees. Ideally, stick it out close to that tree you saw on the right, and you're going to have kind of a spike hyzer into the green. But if you do get up left on the hill, you could have some small gaps to throw low. Just a pretty treacherous green here, though.
Yeah, the green is the complicated part, but this is a very open tee shot. You're going to see probably close to 90% or more for the field in fairway hits. As Vinny pumps one out there well over 500, he'll be able to pick a line, any line, up to the basket.
Yeah, it just makes it look way too easy.
A little more of a pure hyzer from Samson, whereas Heimburg, that low line drive he's well known for.
Joel able to correct his form a little bit from that first swing and not pull that one over, but does end up pinched up on that same tree that Luke is close to over there. We'll see what type of line he ends up lined up with.
And Marwede, not the distance guy as noted, but he's going to work his way up the hill and then down the hill. UDisc is going to call that a fairway hit. And that's why UDisc can sometimes be misleading, huh?
Sometimes so. And surprisingly, even after the roll to the middle, he's going to go with that forehand over the top to the left. Not something that we see too often, but it is a pretty good play, I think.
Yeah, I think effective, given that the wind is going to help drop that, and a backhand, although maybe a little more open, would be carried. Harder to gauge the distance.
Joel pinched off there, trying to make something work. Looks like Luke's going to have a bit of trouble here, too.
Yeah, you can kind of hear him voice a little displeasure with that. He's going to be near circle's edge, if that. Heimburg, I believe AVR X3, and 18 feet long. That should be easy work for his cleanup.
Yeah, 650-foot hole, and he's having to do everything he can to not go long with his overstable putter. Just drawing it up how you like to there. Pretty impressive. And
some of these like zero escaped greens, landscape features. Great putt by Samson for his
Nice.
4. That kind of gets a round going.
Go around a little circle. We're all about the same.
Sometimes you can see a little variability in how a shot lands. Like it might stick dead where you put it. Sometimes it might run to 20, 25 feet past that. Well done by Joel. You see a very direct spin on that putt.
Yeah, and able to card the birdie, which is really what you want to do on this hole. Even with the tricky green, 53% of the field able to get the birdie. As you see, Marwede cancel out that bogey he took on hole 1 there.
And even from out of position, he was able to get back to well inside circle.
Two for 2. So 3 birdies and a par, but all I'm going to remember is that par save from Luke. What a putt from down there.
Hole 3, a lot of open space to work with and a pretty natural right-hand backhand shape. The hill off the tee is the initial issue, and then there's some out of bounds lining the right side. Left side a little more distant, and then some scattered trees around the basket.
Okay.
Okay is right. I like this width.
Take that.
Vinny to 25 feet.
Yeah, I would take that also. He really got that release right. You want to get the disc flat over top of this initial hill and just let it go straight till it catches that finish. This wide play brings in that tree that is OB, but Joel does come in just in front of that. Going to be about circle's edge.
Like this from Marwede. It's going to come up a little bit short, but still a putt. These tall guys might have a subtle advantage on the hole, being able to, just get a couple extra inches of projection over top of the hill. I'm actually throwing from maybe halfway back on it so that my angle of attack isn't as severe.
And Luke able to get through the guardian
looks like
trees
we're 4
up
for
front.
4 inside the circle. Joel going to be first up. And just compare the action to that putt versus on 2. Marwede, the opposite problem. Somewhere between those 2 putts is a good one. Good height, I guess.
Right. Could be a little bit of that wind play or the slope on the green as well. Marwede putting uphill and Joel's feet going to be a little bit uneven. All those little things are stuff that you hope to not think about during these rounds. You want to be able to just walk up and be comfortable with it.
Definitely. And I know in Maryland, I've been putting indoors a lot. You go to putting leagues. I putt in my basement, and the footing's perfect there. There's no wind there. And it's possible that Joel and Andy Marwede, being from northern climes, it might take a tournament or two to really figure out how to adjust that footing.
As Luke, getting some adjustments in, gets his first birdie of the round.
Thanks everyone for watching. As always, thank you to my sponsors, Millennium, Innova, Squatch, and Flight Factory. Look out for the new Quantum and Helio Vila, and then also be on the lookout for my new signature Squatch bag this spring.
It has a turn for those guys that don't have a lot of power. It's fast and it's got good glide.
moving into hole 4, a 300-foot par 3 with trouble all in front of it. You've got this OB green and then this hidden bunker that you don't see off of the tee pad. If you can carry that and run into the hill that the basket's sitting on, you're going to be parked for a birdie. But just a little bit too much carry, and you've got about 40 feet putting back uphill.
Calvin definitely going to run long. And Nathan, I'll let you narrate this one. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, man. Looks like we've got Luke Samson busting out the left hand here. Great overstable mid or putter shot. And it looks like he's executed nicely. Might
That's
end up...
that pretty sweet skill to have, ambidexterity.
Oh, man, it's something I've been working on a little bit in the offseason. Luke definitely has way more power with his offhand than I do. But cool to see more players trying that out. I've definitely heard of quite a few testing that out now.
Yeah, kind of a good way to address, the rotation in both directions for your torso, keep your hips aligned properly, make sure you don't blacksmith syndrome your dominant arm. This shot by Marwede, if it carries the bunker, we'll see what kind of ground play he gets.
Yeah, kind of scary once you see it jump over that hill. You see how steep this is. Luke inside the circle, putting uphill maybe 6-7 feet. And the second blow by right we've seen so far.
Yeah, it looked to me like he's got his weight a little too far forward trying to address that uphill putt. You got to kind of keep your hips in the trajectory that you want to release.
Yeah, and Calvin, not quite the follow through that you need going up the hill there. Short arms it. Andrew Marwede able to connect though. Gets himself back under par now after that bogey to start.
So Luke's going to line up a comeback putt. And I should note, we're playing the Millennium course for the second time in this event. And previously, we've played all 3 courses. But Nathan, how do you prepare for a tournament when there's like 3 courses to practice versus just 2?
Well, when there's 3 courses to practice, usually you say, man, why are we playing 3 courses? And you do that about the whole time you prepare, and you feel rushed the entire time. Going back to 2 courses, I don't really see you showing up later or earlier, but you just don't feel as rushed as you prepare. You can get a round in at both courses or 2 rounds in at both courses and really just take your time. As with 3 courses, you feel like, all right, I got to get out here and do this round. Then I got to go get out here and do this round, but make sure I still remember what's going on. So definitely a different feel. In my opinion, a much better layout with 2 courses than 3.
Yeah, it seems like all of the majors and elite series are trending towards 1 or 2 courses and just like get those quality rounds in. Hole 5, 470 feet. It's a big smash, pretty neutral wind today. So the options are lay up short of this green and pitch across, or try to attack. However, there's out of bounds right with fences and then left and long with ropes. Joel with a kind of flat release, and look at the wind play with this.
Whoa. And you could hear, I don't think he liked that out of the hand. And I was agreeing. It was a little bit high and looked like it was going to fade out left, but got smacked down. Now he's got a good birdie look.
Yeah, and a super bonus. This was playing as one of the hardest holes on the property in round 1. I can't imagine it's a whole lot different today.
It is a little different today. Instead of one of the hardest holes on the course, it is the hardest hole on the course today.
Calvin reaches for Halo Destroyer. This is well thrown, in my opinion. He's got it tracking right most of the way, which means it gets back to Heiser late. And that's going to leave him with a comeback putt from maybe 35 or 40 feet.
Yeah, not bad at all. Gets back to Heiser a little bit too late. But I would rather be in his putting position than in Joel's putting position.
I think right is probably the miss here. The fences are a little more protected, whereas left, where Luke is headed, is pure downslope.
Yeah, and this is what I think Joel expected out of his when he let go, because his did start out that high as well.
Yeah, definitely. Marwede, knowing his game, he told me he worked a lot in the offseason on backhand accuracy and a little bit of power, but knowing your limits and being able to play golf is, that's what makes a successful player, not pure skills.
Absolutely. I'm not sure I know there's a book or two on disc golf, but many books on golf talk about the mentality of it and how it's, mental game.
Great putt by Calvin, dealing with a little heady cross, but sticks high in the chains and picks up the bonus.
Just casual. It didn't even look like he putted that.
Joel gonna splash out left side.
And although this is one that par is okay on, as it is the hardest hole on the course, when you're that close, that one's going to sting a little bit. You want to take advantage of that.
Yeah, every stroke ends up counting the same. So Marwede gets his 3. Joel also gonna 3. Luke gonna take his 4. But when you go back and think about your round, some things just feel so much more consequential. One stroke can turn into 2 or 3. If you're not careful and if you don't attack it or approach it the right way.
That moves us into hole 6, a 759-foot par 4. Fairly open and not too much danger. There is some OB off to the left side and way off to the right side that can come into play, but get about right here and you're going to have 300 feet, or most likely closer with the power that these players have into this basket, which is pretty approachable as well. The green, one of the less dangerous ones.
Calvin again pulling this over. Seems like it's tracking into some trouble spots, but he has so much speed that it'll actually work over top of that and back to the center cut.
His low line drives are so fun to watch from him. Just they get so much more carry than you expect or that you see from other players.
Yeah, at really low apparent effort as well.
Joel getting a nice drive out there also. Going to have a wide open look to the green.
Marwede, this doesn't ever track right, so it is in a little bit of danger. And does end up out of bounds.
Yeah, pretty unforced error there. There is a lot of room on this fairway to land. As you see the wind getting a hold of this one a little bit, going up some stairs, getting a big lift, and he's going to be out there kind of in a triangle with the other two players.
Yeah, absolutely. Marwede with the scramble attempt. He'll work his way to circle 2's edge, but that's probably a layup. There's no real sense in running that putt, I don't think. You kind of just have to concede the bogey. I imagine this is a yarn out of Luke. And good little backstop from the tree. He'll give himself 20, 25 feet. There's a bunch of really interesting holes and shapes on this property, and you see the ability to use some of the golf features like this little mound for a basket placement. Jeff Jacquois, former tournament director and part of the event management staff for this event, said that the rent that they're paying Wildhorse for the week is $48,000, $6,000 a day to close off for practice days for the event and accommodate 3 courses worth, 3 pools worth of players. So it's impressive what they're able to produce out of this, and the scale of event they're running is so impressive with over a $600,000 total event budget.
Yeah, awesome job that they do out here. The courses always look great. Is Luke going to be just a bit low, going to be disappointed with that. Needed a birdie after a couple bad holes on the last 2. Joel is able to cart that birdie, though.
My name's Luke Samson. You can follow me on Instagram at luke.samson.35 or on Facebook. I have a YouTube channel, Luke Samson. You can find my website at samsondg.com. Buy some plastic off me, that'd be awesome. Other than that, that's the best way you can support me.
This looks perfect. Off the basket. Now it's rolling. It's headed for the OB. This needs to sit. Oh my goodness, it's safe. Right on the line. She's gonna have about a 30-foot putt for the win. Okay, here we go. The putt is up. Boom, it's in. Strong side with authority. What an incredible moment. Yes.
Hole 7, after some really open area on the last couple holes, it's a little claustrophobic. Some jungle ball to the right, out of bounds to the left, and a series of stacked gaps to hit.
Yeah, it looks like this kind of hyzer line off to the right side is going to be the best play. As Calvin shows you perfectly right there, as he's going to have yet again another tap-in birdie for a turkey now.
Yeah, if you want to know where the middle of this gap is, it's right there the whole way.
Thank you, Calvin, for showing us that line. Let's see if the rest of the card's going to be able to follow you down it.
We saw Joel in round 1 have a little trouble with this hole. This time, leaks inside instead. Still does filter to a puttable position, though.
Yeah, nice little 50-50 grind off of that tree.
Yeah, I think in Pro Skater, that's a combo, right? Where we got a 2x multiplier.
Yeah, 2-time. 2-time park job, I think.
Marwede electing to go to that backhand rather than the more risky forehand. This is good if it'll swing in front of the palms.
Just catches that last palm leaf. But still going to have a circle 2 look, it looks like. And we know he's known to make some of these in past years.
And the scuffle kind of continues for Marwede, still sitting even through 6.5 holes. I really think you kind of got to get your scoring done in the early part of this round and then in the late part of this round. Holes, let's say 9 through 14, not a lot to be had out there.
Yeah, definitely. With Calvin and Joel being the only ones under par right now.
Yeah, Luke.
But Luke getting himself back to even with a nice low ceiling putt there. Difficult to execute on.
And we should note, this is round 3 of the Las Vegas Challenge. In 4-round Pro Tour events, there is a cut after round 3 for the top 40% plus ties. Since this is one of the later cards, they have the advantage of knowing what everyone in front of them is up to. And it was kind of looking like the cut line was going to be in the 11, 12, 13 range. So something to keep an eye on as we move on to hole 8.
Yeah, a 402-foot par 3 with this OB green. sitting right in front of the basket. You really want to skip your disc off of that green or kind of slide it across it to be able to stop short of this basket. Otherwise, you could get quick to some OB right behind it.
Calvin throwing his new Millennium Velo. Not exactly what he would dream of for the advertisement, but still a neat first look at that disc.
Yeah, and it seems like there could be a little bit of left to right wind here, maybe some headwind pulling this disc off to the right. Do you know what direction this was today?
When I played, it was almost entirely headwind, but I agree. I think it looks a little bit more like some left to right cross. Freeman's going to try to attack that with a Firebird, I believe. Is able to squeak just off the green. And in round one, it was so hard to stop the disc. You know, Joel threw a gator on a 400-foot hole. Now with the opposite wind, that green is very, very much in play, and the backside not as much.
Yeah, definitely seeing some more squirrely shots here than we saw in the first round. As Marwede decides to go with the forehand, and everybody kind of ends up over on that right side. Luckily, all in bounds. Couple close ones here. Probably gonna see another layup here too. I was wrong. Oh no, it wasn't.
I don't think this is the green to really test aggressively. Not when you're in good position, and a bogey would be bad momentum. Marwede should be able to from 40 feet or so.
Yeah, still pretty scary, but he's feeling like he needs this, sitting at even par for the round.
Yeah, didn't work out, but I think you still respect the golf decision and just trust that you're capable of making this 25, 28-footer for par.
Which he does nicely. Pretty scary putt there. Back to the circle's edge, putting uphill into what appears to be a headwind now. Looks like we might be starting to get some swirling going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And the weather report had said there could be some storms moving in, so around this time, maybe 3:30 in the afternoon, it did swirl. It did change direction and intensity.
So, and this did play as the 5th hardest hole. So lots of pars on the day. Kind of what you expect with throwing into a headwind 400 feet.
Yeah, absolutely. Hole 9, there's a lot of open space to the left, but this is almost an island green. Not a true island because there's a little pathway through, but divided by a nice little rock garden. And we probably will see a couple forehands, a couple backhands as folks try to get themselves maybe a 40-foot look for their birdie. Heimburg back to that velo.
Yeah, and that is a great aggressive layup right there. You could tell that he wasn't trying to get onto that green, but trying to put it as close to those rocks as he could, and he's done so well.
Yeah, and I think throwing that fairway driver is the right way to... Oh boy, Samson's going to end up out of bounds without a whole lot of look behind that large palmetto. I think throwing the fairway driver mutes the fade and gives you, that full swing distance at 400 with a golf green skip, or with a golf fairway skip.
And nice shot there from Joel. This is one of those holes that I don't see there ever being a good reason to get on this green as far as it is. We've seen a couple players do so far, and it hasn't worked out. There's just not really that risk or reward there. If you can throw a shot like Calvin did, give yourself that 40, 50 footer. I think that's your best opportunity if you really do need the birdie.
Yeah, but as a design concept, I think I kind of like it. Like there is a little inherent randomness with those rock gardens, but it makes you do a safe layup and then execute a pitch across. If you bail out too far to the left, then you have a real 120-foot shot.
Right. Could definitely bring in some bogey or double bogey if you don't execute that tee shot. I think maybe suited more for a final round course, hole 16, 17. Really bring in some nerves and make people try to attack it. It's going to give you a bit more fun scoring separation, I think.
Oh, I totally agree. You would probably see people trying to pin the island and, accept that there might be a 4 or 5 in play. Whereas middle of the round, you kind of you play for that 3 and maybe a chance at a 2.
Yep, and that's what we're seeing here. Lots of 3s, except for Luke picking up that unfortunate bogey, getting a little more aggressive off of the tee.
Yep. So thank you so much for joining us. We see Calvin out to a pretty good 6 down through 9 and up to 3rd on the leaderboard. Joel moving well. Marwede and Samson need to bring it back on this back 9 in order to ensure they make the cut and stay in good position moving into round 4.
Yeah, check in on the leaderboard. Few players with some hot scores. Tristan Tanner, 8 down, jumping up into that top 10.
Yeah, getting it done. Thank you so much for joining us. For Nathan Queen, I'm Andrew Fish.
We'll see you guys out there.